Southern Virginia, 1 o'clock on Saturday in Buena Vista, Virginia. So the women's soccer team will continue to march on in conference play, as is the men's soccer team currently underway with USA South Conference play. They started things off this weekend, another 0-0 draw, this time on the men's soccer side, BC versus Southern Virginia. Matheus Rossi, who will be a guest later on the program, was named USA South Defensive Player of the Week for the men's soccer team. So congratulations to Matheus. Men's soccer will be back in action on Wednesday at Pfeiffer, and then a home game this coming Sunday. That's a 1 p.m. kickoff versus Mary Baldwin at Lamel Family Field. Football improved to 2-0 in the USA South Conference with a big 34-24 win over Greensboro this past week on the road. James Woods named USA South Special Teams Player of the Week. And then football will be back in action this Saturday, 1 p.m. versus Southern Virginia at Lamel Family Field. It's Youth Day, so bring out the family and the youth of all ages. We'll have all sorts of activities here at Lamel Family Field. It's also the whiteout game, so encouraging all the Tornado fans to wear the color white and really create that home field environment. Cycling is inching closer and closer to the national championships. They had a big weekend up in Cleveland, Georgia, the SECCC Mountain Bike Championships. Great results there. And then all eyes are on Ride Rock Creek in Zirconia, North Carolina, October 12th through 15th, USA Cycling Collegiate Mountain Bike National Championships. Be sure to come on out if you're in the area. Really a fantastic event where the Tornadoes are going to be contending for a national championship. Cross country, after a couple weeks off, we'll be back in action at the Royals Challenge, 6 p.m. this Friday in Charlotte, North Carolina. And volleyball is on a roll, 3-0, a sweep of Pfeiffer, and then went to a tri-match in Rocky Mount, North Carolina this past weekend and split a 5-setter versus Southern Virginia, but then a 3-1 win over the host, NC Wesleyan. Next up, the Tornadoes tomorrow, 6 p.m., right here at the Boshamer Gymnasium, Tuesday, 6 o'clock versus Greensboro. Hope you can join us for that. And with that, we're going to invite in our first guest of the evening. Glad to be joined this evening by head volleyball coach Abbie Parde. Coach, how are you this evening?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Phil?
Excellent, especially when I'm reading through these results as of late for the BC volleyball team. Would love to kind of walk through each of these games, and then we're also going to talk about some milestones because some of the individuals on the team have just been, crushing it in terms of the record books go. But let's start in terms of just, the team all together. And if we can date back to that last home match, a 3-0 win over Pfeiffer, to sweep Pfeiffer on the home court in front of the home crowd had to feel good.
Yeah, definitely a massive win for us. I didn't have a chance to go back into the record books, but the team said it was the first time we had swept Pfeiffer in a lot of years. So they were really excited that it wasn't like, a 4 or 5 set match, which is what it usually is against Pfeiffer. We're definitely expecting that. So them just to show up and execute at a high rate for a whole 3 sets was really, really astonishing. And then, yeah, you nailed it. We had a lot of records that were broke that night too. Bailey Lance hit 1,000 digs and Logan Pretty hit 1,000 assists. So it was a really exciting night that we got to celebrate at home, which made it a little bit more special just to have their friends and a lot of their families there as well.
Yeah, we're going to get into each of those milestones because I really want to explain to the audience kind of the significance of each of these. As we're flashing across the screen there, Bailey Lance and Logan Pretty, just a big night, that 3-0 win over Pfeiffer. Then you have a couple days to regroup. And then you hit the road for a long road trip to Rocky Mount, North Carolina for another USA South Conference tri-match, a 5-setter on a neutral court versus Southern Virginia, ends up going the way of the Knights, but then a 3-1 win over NC Wesleyan. Would love for you to catch us up on that Saturday for the Tornadoes from your perspective and how big that win was over NC Wesleyan.
Yeah, Saturday was definitely one of the longest days of volleyball we've played this year. I think we were, going for a straight 5.5 hours, including warm-ups in between those two games. So just the endurance and the strength conditioning that we've incorporated in the program, I think definitely carried us to the 4-set win against NC Wesleyan. But Southern Virginia, that game was a nail biter. I mean, if you look at the scores, 25-23, 25-23, 23-25, 23-25, like it really took it. I think we ended up playing 215 points that game. So,
Wow.
yeah, it was definitely a really intense match with a lot of long rallies. And it ended up just falling Southern Virginia's way at the end. They got a little bit more gritty than we did in the 5th set. So they just kind of won the mental game there. But I was really proud of our team for staying in it for a full 5 sets. And I'm positive next time we play them, I think we're going to get them for sure because we'll play them a little bit earlier in the day. But then, yeah, really to turn it around and be able to execute against NC Wesleyan speaks a lot about the mindset of this team of, okay, well, that was one loss, but our whole thing is next play mentality, which comes into next game mentality. So them being able to step up and start executing really at a high level against them stood out really a lot too. And additionally, we have some depth in this program. So we had the ability to put in some fresh legs against NC Wesleyan, which I think carried us to the win at the end. So, yeah, you nailed it. It was a really successful day of volleyball. I mean, it would have been great to come out 2-0, but 1-1's not too bad. Definitely against, the conference champs from last year. So I think they were excited to be taking them to 5 for sure.
Outstanding, and especially with that kind of endurance and stamina that was needed to get through that day as well. And then that brings us to what's up next, which is tomorrow, yet another conference matchup, this time versus Greensboro, 6 p.m. at the Bosch. Preview this matchup a little bit for us, Coach, but also just how important it is for the Tornadoes to keep this momentum going.
Yeah, so Greensboro right now is sitting at the top of conference. It's definitely going to be one of our most challenging matches that we've had so far. They actually, one of their starting outsides from last year, she got Freshman Player of the Year. She just came back from an injury about a week ago. So they have one of their star players back too. So it's going to be a really competitive and fun match tomorrow if we show up and we execute at a high rate, stay in the long rallies, stay gritty. I think we have a good shot at getting them. We just got to be tough. We got to be tough and we got to be aggressive in the front row. So it should be a good match to watch.
All right, Coach. Well, we teased it well, as they say in the television business, as far as these milestones go, and would love to go through each of them and really celebrate these. The first one that was reached was Bailey Lance. She found her 1,000th career dig in that win versus Pfeiffer, became just the 4th Tornado in the NCAA era to join the 1,000 dig club. She's a senior defensive specialist. She transferred in, to Brevard College after, spending her freshman year at another institution, and would love for you to, talk about Bailey one. And then also just for folks who might not be huge volleyball fans, just how big of a deal it is to get 1,000 digs in your collegiate career.
Yeah, absolutely. So Bailey hitting 1,000 digs, essentially 2.5, 3.5 years or 2.5, 2.5 years into her career is really exceptional. I mean, she averages, I think, like 4.6 or 4 digs a set, which is a really high rate. She just is exceptional. She covers so much ground in the back row. We always talk about just ground coverage, and she takes, about 40% of the back row plays, and she executes them at a high rate too. So you're right. It's a really big milestone to reach, and it was really exceptional that we got to do it at home. I think her mom ended up having, 8 or 9 of her previous coaches there from middle school.
Wow.
So definitely a really big night of celebration. But yeah, congrats to her because that's an awesome milestone to reach.
Outstanding. And then in the setting department, junior setter Logan Pretty, just the very following set was able to crack the 1,000 assists plateau. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, same thing with Logan. She matched it, in 2.5 years too. I think she's graduating early, so we're only going to get her for 3. But I think if she, stayed for the full 2, she would be getting really close to that 2,000 mark. And it is a really big accomplishment to hit running a 6.2. So, there's different rotations you can run in volleyball. And a 6.2 is when you split the setting for 3 rotations in 3. So her being able to hit that in such a short amount of time really talks about her talent and how exceptional she is at just getting the ball into the right placement for our hitters to be successful.
Then you hit the road over the weekend in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Caitlin Presley, who in all my years of watching collegiate volleyball is one of the most versatile players I've ever seen, who gets it done in both the kill department, also the assist department, racks up all sorts of other assists in stats as well. But she was able to join the 1,000 assist club. Tell us about Caitlin and how exceptional that is, especially for someone who's also a hitter.
Yeah, it is a really big deal. Just like Logan, she only sets for 3 of those rotations. So she nails it. She really has embraced how to be a balanced volleyball player because she's in the back row. She knows her role is to be setting and to execute that. But then when it comes to being in the front row, she gets close to 35% of all of our attacks. So it's a lot for her to be able to execute in both of those areas and not have to take any plays off. She's actually one of the few on Saturday that never came out of the game for those whole 9 sets straight.
Wow.
So again, her endurance is super high, and then her mindset is incredible of just being able to move on past mistakes and execute really high.
And as we're joining 1,000 clubs left and right, we've also got a school record that was broken over the weekend as Bailey Lance breaks the Brevard College NCAA era record. That's, in other words, since Brevard College has been playing in the NCAA, whether D2 or D3, with 120 career aces, getting it done with the service games. Tell us, just what it takes to break a school record in career aces.
Yeah, it takes being aggressive and then being able to execute at a really aggressive rate. Right now we're in the top 3 of conference for just service aces per set, which is a really good accomplishment for us. It takes the other side out of system a lot, which is our main goal. And when Bailey goes back there, she's guaranteeing that she's back there for 2 or 3 points. So being able to hold on to the serve is really incredible. But she hits her serving zone every time. She stays aggressive. She hits them deep. She lets the float. It's incredible. Her serve is, I don't see a lot of those serves at this level, and she's definitely incredible with it.
Outstanding. Well, big congratulations to the Tornadoes as a team, what they've been doing. And every time there's one of these records broken or one of these milestones, I know, it's a team accomplishment in so many ways. And I see the team celebrating together and that kind of thing. But Bailey Lance, Logan Purdy, Caitlin Presley, all, etched into the record books here at Brevard College. One more, Coach, before we start to wrap up with you and move on to the student athletes. This week is AVCA Officials Appreciation Week. American Volleyball Coaches Association, a chance to really recognize the officials, a thankless job in so many ways as far as, what these officials do, whether, they're calling the game, whether they're an official scorer, whether they're a line judge, all these different roles. And I know this is important to the AVCA and yourself, Coach.
Yeah, obviously the games would not be happening if we didn't have officials there every single time and calling the game fair. And it's not an easy job because you have, stands, you have the fans yelling at you. Sometimes you have coaches that are in your ear chirping too. I tend to be one of them every now and then. So of course I got to thank all the officials this week just for putting up with me as well. But yeah, they really do an exceptional job. And, it's not a career choice. It's usually something on the side for these officials. So it speaks a lot that they take their free time to, just support the game of volleyball.
Yeah. So next time you're about to yell at an official, how about just take a deep breath? Not you, Coach. I want the coaches to do whatever they need to do, but I'm saying more from the fan perspective,
Absolutely.
Take a deep breath and maybe just, ponder a little, reflect a little, and appreciate the officials, how hard they work. We're really thankful for all that they do. No doubt about it. Well, joined by Coach Abbie Parde, and we're going to be joined by a couple of your student athletes in just a moment here. Are you able to stick with us here, Coach?
Yep, absolutely.
All right, we're going to bring into the show now Caitlin Hagarty and also Blair Nance, both entering the program. Coach, before we let you go, and on the eve of another USA South Conference matchup, help introduce to Tornado Nation these two outstanding student athletes.
Yeah, for sure. So Kate is a senior, so I'm sure if you've been on Tornado Talk for a couple years, you've seen Kate on this for quite a few times. She has really stepped up as a leader for us this year, embracing her role and executing it awesome. She's been flying around the back row and really just been an incredible teammate too. And then Blair, was injured at the beginning part of season, so getting her back within the last couple weeks has been really exciting. She brings a lot of energy and honestly passion and drive. She creates that, competitiveness in practice as well. So both of these two do an exceptional job just embracing what our culture is and what we're working towards this season.
Well said, Coach. Well, hey, best of luck beginning tomorrow in the big USA South Conference contest as we're back in action versus Greensboro here at the Bosch. And yeah, congrats on the recent success. Can't wait to keep this ball rolling with you.
Thank you, Phil. Thanks for having me.
All right, there she goes, head coach Abbie Parde. And as she helped us introduce these two volleyball student athletes, Caitlin Hagarty and Blair Nance. Caitlin, how are you?
Good, Phil. How are you?
Excellent, thank you. And how you doing, Blair?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. It's great, especially when I'm reading about, all this volleyball news, whether it's records being broken or milestones or wins by the Tornadoes. It's been a nice little run, and I know you guys are working hard to keep this thing going. Caitlin, when you kind of think back on the recent success, winning some of these USA contests, taking Southern Virginia to the wire in a 5-setter, just kind of the momentum that you guys have going. Can you sort of put your finger on it, what the key has been as of late?
Honestly, I think as a team, we've done a really great job of being steady and working together. We rode the roller coaster a lot last year, so emotions were very high and low during games. And now we've just found that adjustment and gotten into our groove, which has been really successful for us.
Yeah, well said. And Blair, anything to add to that as far as, what's been working so well for the Tornadoes as of late?
I agree with Caitlin. We did have rough roller coasters during our games, but we've managed to keep it steady, and even if a set doesn't go our way, we just forget about it and move on to the next one.
Like to kind of break down a couple of these recent matches. First, that Pfeiffer win, 3-0 at the Bosch. The crowd got going, for a good part of it. And I'd like for you to think back at that match and also tell our audience a little bit how important it is when you're up 2-0 to just win that third set and get it over with, and sweep this deal. And that's what you all did versus Pfeiffer. Caitlin, tell us about that Pfeiffer match and the significance of a sweep.
Yeah, it was really thrilling, especially since we had never swept Pfeiffer before. We always tend to go to 5 or 4 or 5 with them. And it's really significant just to get that full sweep because it really secures that win, especially if you get that last set rather than having to almost do a tiebreaker. Because with the game of volleyball, it is best 3 out of 5. So we try and finish that game in 3. It just makes that win feel so much sweeter.
Yeah, and Blair, I mean, you guys, when you're in that third set up 2-0, I'm sure everyone's just trying to put the pedal to the metal and let's wrap this thing up and not let it go a 4th or even a 5th set.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Well, and then you all hit the road. You go to Rocky Mount, North Carolina, and Coach was talking a little bit about just the stamina and endurance that was necessary. Not only a long road trip, you've got to get all the way out there and get settled, and you're not sleeping in your own bed and all these kind of things. And then you've got this marathon match versus Southern Virginia. You got to turn right back around and play NC Wesleyan. Reflecting back on that day, Caitlin, tell us what that Saturday was like in Rocky Mount.
Oh, it was a great Saturday, Phil. It definitely was a thriller. We were so close to having them. And for me personally, I just turned that frustration that I had into wanting to win that next game against NC Wesleyan. The stamina that you have to have is unmatchable and unbeatable with us. And we've done really well at bouncing back from those games. So I think that that's something that we've definitely succeeded in as a team.
Yeah, Blair, tell us about the Saturday from your perspective.
It was definitely a long road trip, and having to play back-to-back is not easy, but we always manage, to push ourselves and do it. And then even though the first set of Southern Virginia did not go our way, when we went to NC Wesleyan, like Caitlin said, we just took all our frustration from that one and just wanted to come home with a win.
Yeah, and that you did. So very nicely done. And then we turn the page. We come right back home. You all, are able to get settled back here at the Bosch and so forth. And then we're gearing up for a matchup tomorrow versus Greensboro, 6 p.m. at the Bosch. What's going to be the key, Caitlin, for tomorrow and then moving forward to continue this success?
I think for us, it's going to be being able to show up and kind of keep the steady pace that we have, staying at a smooth 60 to 70%, not really exceeding too high or too low with our emotions or our performance. We've done a really great job at that. So I think if we just keep that pace going, that's going to be successful for us.
And Blair, just tell the audience just how much you all enjoy playing at home. I notice it. There's a lot of fun that you all are having at the same time. You're getting the energy going. You just feel so comfortable, I bet, on your home court where you guys have spent so many hours practicing and that kind of thing. What's it like, to be a member of this volleyball team at the Bosch?
It is definitely very exciting. Being at home, it's a very different feeling. That's our home gym. We practice in there every day, and definitely our cheers are very interesting if you hear them on the sidelines. We are definitely probably one of the loudest bench you will meet.
Can you share one of the cheers with us, Blair? That's something that, it's something that is age appropriate for anybody who might be listening and that kind of thing, of course.
Okay. When somebody serves and they get an ace, we go, ace. Ooh.
Oh, okay. Hey.
Perfect.
And something everybody could catch on to, right? Like,
yes.
This isn't like, that complicated. It's that simple, right?
Yes.
Awesome. How about one more? Do you have one for us, Caitlin?
We have a block cheer. So when somebody gets a stuffed block, which basically means that the ball hit the blocker's hands and it went straight down to the ground. She's a brick wall. So one person will say brick and the rest of the team will say wall on the bench. So
nice. Sort of like is it playing off the song Brick House a little bit?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I like it. I dig it. So brick wall and then the ace cheer. We're going to have to keep a close eye on this and maybe see if we can get some of the spectators involved. I'm wondering here with this. Well, would like to tell NATO Nation a little bit about each of you and your stories. Caitlin, tell us a little bit about your volleyball journey, your journey as a college student athlete and so forth. When did it really get started? And obviously, you found your way here to Brevard College.
Yeah, so I came from Raleigh, North Carolina. I came to Brevard in 2020, which was a COVID year. And our season, we didn't know when it was going to start, so we ended up having it in the spring, and that consisted of 9 games. And then so since then, it's kind of just taken off from there. I was really happy to be back on the court and being able to play the sport that I love. I'm an exercise science major with a coaching and health science minor. So my work in the classroom and on the court is spread pretty thin, time-wise. So I've if you're ever looking for me, I'm either in the classroom or in the gym. There's no really in between.
Very good. And same question for you, Blair, sophomore from Roxborough, North Carolina. Tell us a little bit about your volleyball background, how you found Brevard College, and what you've been up to since you've gotten here.
Yes, I'm from Roxborough, North Carolina. That's about 5.5 hours away from here. So not too far, but far enough where I don't have to go home every weekend. I played last year and I absolutely loved it here. Just my teammates, I love all of my teammates. They are amazing. And just even being part of the program is just great. And this year it was a little rough coming back because, like Abbie said, I did have an injury at the beginning of the year, but I'm better now, so that's good. And being able to play again is just so great. Being with my team is so much better than when I was injured because that was rough.
Yeah, congratulations on that, Blair. I know it takes a lot of hard work and blood, sweat, and tears and that kind of thing behind the scenes that people don't see when you come back from an injury like that. So congrats on that as well. Before we let you go, do you want to give you the chance for any shout outs or thank yous each of you may have? The floor is yours, Caitlin Hagarty. Shout outs or thank yous?
Yeah, shout outs to my coaches and my parents and family, and definitely my teammates for always having my back.
Outstanding. Blair, same opportunity for you.
All of my coaches, that includes my coaches here and the one I had for travel. My family, my mom, my stepdad, my dog, Evie. I love her. And all of my teammates, I love all of you guys.
Outstanding. Evie getting the shout out as well. Very nicely done. Caitlin Hagarty, Blair Nance, 2 members of the Brevard College volleyball team. They'll be in action tomorrow, 6 p.m. at the Bosch versus Greensboro. Thanks for joining the show. Great job this evening. Can't wait to see you back at the Bosch.
And thank you, Phil.
Phil.
All right, there they go. And we're going to switch gears very quickly here from the Boshemer Gymnasium to the pitch that is played at Lamel Family Field here on the campus of Brevard College, joined once again by men's soccer head coach L. Dana. Coach Dana, thanks for joining the show.
Hey, Phil, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Well, would like you to catch us up because we had this USA South Conference matchup this past weekend, and it ended up in a 0-0 draw. Tornadoes and Southern Virginia. Always sort of an interesting mood, when there's a 0-0 draw, neither team able to find the back of the net. But would love to hear from your perspective, Coach. I know the Tornadoes had a whopping shot total in this one and so forth. But tell us how this match unfolded and, what maybe some of the learnings were moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, this is such a hard-working conference, and everybody scouts each other so carefully that anytime you play an in-conference opponent, we can never take anything for granted, and Southern Virginia over the years always made games hard for us. But I'm also not going to lie. You look at the numbers, number of shots, number of chances created, possession percentage, on and on and on. We dominated the game, but it is what it is, until you put the ball in the back of the net, you don't win. So kudos to them. They came out with a point out of here, which is something that we wish we grabbed out 3. But I also got to give credit to our defense and our goalkeeper and so on and so forth, because they could have won the game too, even though we dominated most of all the aspects. So don't take anything for granted. One day at a time and keep working.
Well, in the defense and the goalkeeper rewarded with the USA South Conference Defensive Player of the Week this week. Matheus Rossi is going to be on the show in just a little bit here, Coach. Would love for you to talk about Matheus, in the significance of this kind of award. Certainly well deserved, and you're right. You've got to hold the opponent to 0. That's the bottom line. In games like this, to come out with a point.
Yeah, the hard thing for the goalkeepers, just about every player on the field will commit several mistakes on any given day, and do a lot more good than not. But a goalkeeper cannot. That's how it is, and a mistake a goalkeeper commits will show on the score most often. So, tough games that, especially when it was 0-0 and there were a couple of really point-blank opportunities for them to score. He came up big. And as much as we got to score, we got to create chances and put the ball in the back of the net, we also got to keep the other side from doing it. So he and the entire defense, our defense is one of the top defenses in the nation, as a whole. It's not just a goalkeeper. They did a great job.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Coach, because we're also going to have Martin Aguilar on the show as well, part of that defense. Sam O'Callahan, who's been around so many years. And then, the center of that defense, Rocco Barbone, also Tom DeSuge. There's others, we see Luis Portillo, the freshman. We see Hayden Domingo come off the bench. There's a lot of depth as well. But, this defense, through a lot of these guys' career, but also this season in particular, have just been playing outstanding.
Yeah, and I'll throw the defensive mids as well. In general, I like to tell the players that we don't attack only with forwards and we don't defend only with the defenders. It's the whole team that gets the credit. But you mentioned, especially this year, and I agree, because this is by far the hardest schedule we have ever played. Quite frankly, easily we could have been 0 wins, but also, quite frankly, easily we could have won every game, which would have made us be top 5 in the nation. So we're that close, and having played this tough schedule, I think at the end of this conference run will show how prepared we are.
And the conference run begins with a road trip this week on Wednesday at Pfeiffer. Help us preview this matchup, Coach. What do we know about Pfeiffer? What kind of game do you expect?
Good team. They play the game the way we like. Everybody has their style, but they're very similar to us. So I'm thinking if I'm going to watch the game, I'm going to enjoy it, because they're the kind of team that play and let play, and so are we. But with that said, it's a tough place to go, and we have had their number. I'm not going to lie, but they always make games difficult for us, and they should be they should be among the tougher teams to play this year. So I'm scouting and respecting them and making sure our guys are totally prepared, because this will be a tough game.
Yeah, the first road match for the USA South Conference schedule for the Tornadoes, and then back home on Sunday. So an opportunity for NATO Nation to come back out and see the men's soccer team. A 1:00 start on Sunday versus Mary Baldwin. I know it's one game at a time, for the team and so forth, Coach. But if we can help preview this one for the fans who might be coming out on Sunday.
Yeah, Mary Baldwin is an example of a team that decided to put a tough schedule ahead of them, and sometimes that backfires, so they took a lot of losses, but eventually I'm going to go over them with my players, and I'm going to point that they cannot take them for granted, because they have indeed played a tough schedule, but sometimes it's a chance you take. Just like I said, easily we could have won every game, easily we could have lost all of them, and sometimes that really shuts down your confidence. I mean, back to Southern Virginia that we just played, they opted to play a very light schedule. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're a very good team, but they played a very, very light schedule. And that worked for them. They had a lot of confidence coming here to play, So, yeah, different ways you can approach. But our conference really doesn't have an easy day, period.
Yeah, so fans, come on out. That's going to be a great showcase once again of USA South Conference play. Tornadoes versus Mary Baldwin on Sunday at 1 p.m. Also, the reserves team has some action coming up. A trip to Montreat scheduled for this week on Thursday, taking on the Montreat reserves. That's not too far on the other side of the mountain over there in Montreat. And then back at home versus the Gardner-Webb reserves on Thursday, October 12th. Coach, we've touched on it before a little bit, but would love for you to talk about the reserves program, how important that is, for the overall men's soccer program here at Brevard, but also a little bit about this year's team.
Yeah, Mario actually was wrapping up with them. That's why he's not on the call. But that's a very important tool that we have to develop players. I don't even know exactly. I guess I can look it up and tell you next time we talk. But easily, the majority of our players have spent time with the reserves, and I'm talking about the top players. So what that does to you, because we keep it consistent, same formation, same patterns for corner kicks, free kicks. I mean, everything you can come in between. That when they move up, they don't feel that shock, and they play a tough schedule. They had a couple of unfortunate situations. They called the game because of the weather recently, and another game that had to be rescheduled because the team had a problem with their bus. But the boys in the reserve squad, they're so eager to play. They're so eager to practice. I mean, we have a group, a chat, WhatsApp chats that I get more dings with the reserves than I do with the first team. One hey, can we practice more? Can we practice more? So I love that, and it creates a good atmosphere. They all support each other, and it's a lot more. That's why you see a lot more players doing well in the first team. Without the reserves, it would have been a lot tougher.
Yeah, and I recall back to last year, Coach, there were some kind of late season call-ups from the reserve team that ended up having a big impact for the conference tournament and all the way into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, you're going to have today one that is the case. Martin coming up, and look at him now. He's almost every game, I believe he was a starter for us. I promise you he wouldn't be able to do it without the reserve squad.
Yeah, really fascinating, and it's to be commended. Just how that reserves program works so seamlessly with the varsity program, and it's one big organism really here at Brevard College men's soccer. Well, Coach, before we let you go, would like you to stick around just a couple moments longer. We're going to bring in the two aforementioned student athletes, Matheus Rossi and Martin Moguel Aguilar. Coach, help introduce these two to NATO Nation.
Sure. I'll start with Martin. I just mentioned him. Martin is still an underclassman, but maybe by now, Martin, you correct me. It might be coming up as a junior. But Martin was one of the players that we promoted that spent a little time with the reserves. He's playing in the back and has really grown a lot and somebody that we rely on. And so far, every game we play, he had a match with some of the top players that we had to play against, Rossi, also technically an underclass, but feels and seems to be a veteran already. You mentioned that he was the defensive player of the week this year or this week, and rightfully so. One of the top keepers in the conference. So part of our success in defense go through these two guys.
Outstanding. Well, looking forward to more success from the Brevard College Tornadoes. Best of luck this week, Coach. We'll see you on Sunday at Islamel Family Field.
Thank you, Phil.
All right. There's Coach Aldana. And as he helped introduce to us these two guests, Matheus Rossi, the goalkeeper for the Tornadoes in the upper right corner. Matheus, how are you?
And you? How are you doing?
Doing great. And also Martin Moguel Aguilar joining us as well. Martin, how are you?
Good. Happy to be in Tornado Talk.
Yeah, happy to have you guys. Well, Matheus, let's start with you. Tell us about this past weekend's game. I know it wasn't the result the team wanted, but certainly the defense, the goalkeeping, you did your job holding the opponent to 0-0. Tell us about that game and, just what it took to shut out the opponent.
I feel like one more year, like Coach said, they're a tough team to win. They work hard. They no matter the plays they have, they always work hard. And we found like really good players playing in that field this weekend, and they made hard work. Like we have good opportunities, but like our sport, the magic is if you don't score, like they will have chance to make it be difficult for you.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, this sport of soccer or football, that the team with the most shots doesn't win. It's the team with the most goals, of course. And I know the guys up front are working hard to find the back of the net. But congratulations on the shutout. And also, Matheus, before we move on to Martin, Matheus won the USA South Conference Defensive Player of the Week this week. Matheus, how did you get word that you won the award? Did you someone tell you?
I wasn't expect that. Yeah, like we were going to practice today, and when they announced I wasn't on my phone, I was already in the field, and one of my teammates came to me like, "Yo, bro, you got like the award this week." I was like, "What?" I really didn't expect that.
Yeah, and congratulations, Matheus. And
Thank
we
you.
talked about it before. It's so much a team award. Also, whenever a player from the Tornadoes wins an award, that's a reflection on the entire team. And congratulations to yourself and the Tornadoes. Well, Martin, would love to hear from your perspective. The defense. You guys have been playing some great soccer, shutting down the opponent. This past Saturday, what was the key in you all holding Southern Virginia to 0 goals?
I mean, I think we've started the season a bit like shaky, but we're getting better. We're getting to know each other better. Like Rocco and Tom on the back, they're so reliable. We have Luis, who is a freshman, great player. He amazing to play with him. And me, like, I think it was just conference, like that emotion you have when you're playing conference that brings the best out of you. And Southern Virginia, their attackers, especially their wingers, they were really good. But I think we were like better at that. Obviously, Rossi with his amazing saves. And of course, we wanted to win that game. We always want to win. But at least in the defense and the midfield, we were solid. And the attack was also really good. Like, we just missed our chances, but we created. I think it was a really good game.
Yeah, exciting game, no doubt about that. Well, now it's time to move forward beyond that game and onto what's next. And, the men's soccer team will have a matchup at Pfeiffer on Wednesday. Matheus, tell us a little bit what it's going to take for the Tornadoes to win in the USA South Conference in this matchup versus Pfeiffer.
I believe we had like a really tough game to like the kickoff in the conference, but we have been working hard and we're getting better and better every game. I think if you keep solid and our forwards keeping like having more shots and put it on target, we will get there.
Yeah, and Martin, same question for you. A road trip to Pfeiffer. Mm-hmm. Not only this matchup versus Pfeiffer, but the idea of playing on the road. Sometimes it's tougher to get a road win. Correct?
It's a bit tougher than winning at home, especially because at home we have the fans, we have like everything surrounds us. But still, we try to win every game we have. It's exciting to win like our first conference game and our first away game. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of confidence in us. The defense has been doing great. The midfield has doing great as well, and just hope that our attackers get to score. We'll still create the chances that we've been doing.
And Martin, you mentioned the home crowd. Next chance for Tornado fans to see you all in action Sunday, 1 p.m. versus Mary Baldwin. Martin, tell us how important it is to hear the crowd behind you. When you're playing, do you hear the crowd, and does that pump you up to hear them cheering?
Yeah, there's especially some guys that like speak really loud that you get to hear them more than anyone. But the fans are just amazing. Like when they pressure the referee or the other team, or just to cheer us up when we're coming from the bench or anything. It's just an amazing feeling hearing all of them. Of course, I'm concentrating the game, but knowing that they're there supporting us all the time, it's an amazing feeling, and we always love that. Especially after the game ends, when hopefully we win the games, and then going to the fans, it's just an amazing feeling.
Yeah, Matheus, I see you nodding your head. Do you agree that it's nice to play at home and have that crowd behind you?
Yeah, 100%. Like our fans are really nice people. They're always there for us, and they're always supporting us. When someone have like a nice shot or a good save, they're always there like supporting us all the time.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, I do want NATO Nation to learn a little bit more about each of you. And let's start with Matheus, sophomore goalkeeper from Brazil. Tell us, Matheus, a little bit about your soccer journey. When did you start playing soccer, and eventually tell us how it eventually turned into coming here, to Brevard College?
So, like, since people know in Brazil, soccer for us, it's kind of different. So I started in futsal, it's like indoor soccer, since my 4 years old. And then with 8, I moved to play in the big field. And I wasn't a goalkeeper always, like being honest, because I was always a tall guy, so I was playing on the back or helping with the long shots. But it was something that I really enjoyed doing, was being a goalkeeper. And when I have the opportunity to come to the US to keep doing my college and have the opportunity to play soccer as well, I was down like that moment.
Yeah, outstanding. And then tell us about specifically to Brevard College. What's it been like since you've arrived here at Brevard and, been able to be a part of this soccer team?
So first of all, the city, I think, was the first thing that I loved, because I'm from the coast in Brazil, but I can drive to the mountains really quick. And I have those sports here close to the mountains, have all the opportunity to be outside here. And like I said, the fans, all the students here, they always, even if they don't go to our games, when they see that we won something or a award, or when we won the conference last year, everybody's there supporting us all the time. And that's really good.
All right. The last one for you, Matheus, on this subject before we move over back to Martin. What's it like to be part of this Brazilian club, this crew that you guys have here on campus? There's the number of you, some of whom are even alumni now, who played men's soccer here. I was able to hang out with a lot of you during the World Cup and see, what that was all about. But tell us what it's like, to have that kind of camaraderie and that friendship with people who come from the same country that you're from.
It's really helpful. Like, I can feel I'm at home, what I mean? Like, I have all those friends around me all the time. If I go to class, I have them. If I go home, I live with some of them. So everywhere, I'm never like feeling far at home.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Home away from home, is a way to put it for sure. Martin Moguel Aguilar out of Mexico City, Mexico, where certainly soccer and football, it's just king down there as well. Tell us about your journey, Martin. When did you start playing, and then how did it lead to you coming here to Brevard?
So same to Rossi, yeah, Mexico City is really passionate about football. We have 3 soccer teams in the city. So there's soccer everywhere, and in school, everywhere I could play, I love to play soccer. And yeah, I started when I was really small. Like, it's the easiest sport to play, I think. You just kick a ball, and since everyone in Mexico does it, you have like lots of places to play it. I started playing in my school. I loved it. I was with my teammates, with my friends. It was the best. And then I started getting into like trying to get more professional into the 3rd division back in Mexico. and I could play like a lot. I played a lot of positions, mostly in defense, but I just loved it. And then they contacted me, an agency that is dedicated to that, to bring Mexican students to the USA so that they can continue playing soccer. And thankfully, my agent used to play with Mario, the reserves coach.
Mm.
So that was a really easy thing to like he knew each other, and that's how they contacted me, and that's how I ended here in Brevard.
And Martin, since you've arrived here at Brevard, what has your experience been like?
It's been awesome. Like in general, the whole college experience in another country, I've been loving it. The people are so nice. I love the campus. Not a big campus, but like the connection with the teachers, with the students, with everyone is really nice. And the sports, like being treated as a student athlete, is amazing. You don't get this treatment here in Mexico. Even in Mexico, as much as we love soccer, I have to take care of my uniform before games. I have to bring everything, and then coming here and having your own locker room, the name there, it's just an amazing experience.
Outstanding. Well said, both of you all. Matheus, Rossi, tell us a little bit what you're working on in the classroom. What are you majoring in, and what are you working on academically?
So my major is business administration, and right now since I transfer, I'm like mix and match some class from my year and some class that I couldn't transfer. So I'm still like dealing with like my time to see like the class that I still need to graduate and the class that I have to do for my credits.
Very good. And Martin, how about yourself? What are you working on academically?
I'm an astrophysics major. That's one of the reasons I chose to come to Brevard, because of the program. There's not a lot of schools that have like a soccer team and an astrophysics program, and luckily Brevard has both. So I love that. My classes have been pretty chill right now. I try to keep my schedule on when I'm in season, like really chill, and then when I'm off season, have the more classes. But yeah, it's been cool so far. About heading to the exams because of the fall break. I don't like that much. But yeah, classes have been cool. Getting to like settle more into Brevard. It's my second year here. But yeah, so far I'm liking it very much.
Martin, it's the second straight week we have had an astrophysics major here on Tornado Talk. We had Hugo Taylor, who's the kicker for the football team on here. And wow, not an easy course load to balance with
No.
all the athletics as well. So my hat off to you as well for that. Awesome stuff. Well, before we let you go, want to leave the opportunity for each of you to give any shout outs or thank yous, anyone that's helped you along the way, anyone who might be watching at any point. The floor is yours. Shout outs, Matheus.
So for sure, I need to shout out my parents. I saw my mom text there. They always support me no matter what, like no matter the distance or the time that I have to be far from them. They're always there for me. So can I just send a message in Portuguese for them?
Sure. Yes, please.
Beijo pra minha mãe e pro meu pai. Amo muito vocês. Muita saudade.
Very good. Nicely done, Matheus. Martin, same opportunity for you, and feel free to go into Espanol if you like.
I would like to say to my family, my dad in general, he always watches the games. He's always texting me before the games. Te quiero mucho, papá. Eres mi inspiración. To Oscar, he's a big friend of mine. And to Will and Hayden, we started in the reserves last year and we're called up, and now we're in the first team. So it's been awesome having Will and Hayden by my side all the time.
Hey, one last one, Martin, because you mentioned that. We talked to Coach about that. That idea of working hard in the reserves and then having the opportunity to varsity. What would be your message to maybe some of the young players on the reserve team who are trying to do exactly that?
It's the perfect way to get into the first team, because we practice what the first team practices, but we don't have the pressure in front of us to we can make mistakes. You get a lot of playing time. You get to meet all your teammates, because I think that's the most important part. Since all of us are freshmen, we can be a bit scared, or it's college soccer, it's a big deal. But the reserves is really they help you a lot. The coaches always help you a lot. They're there to talk to you. In general, it's a great opportunity to have. And as Coach El said, I was there last year, and now I'm being able to start some games. So I'm really grateful for that. Really happy with Coach El and Mario, of course.
Outstanding. Well, fantastic example of how it can be done. Sort of our version of promotion. Here at Brevard College. Matheus, Rossi, Martin, Moguel, Aguilar. Great job this evening. Good luck this week with USA South Conference play. We'll see you at Islamel Family Field on Sunday. Thanks for joining the show.
Thank you very much for having us.
All right, there they go. We're going to switch gears and head over to the gridiron now as we're bringing in part of the football coaching staff, football recruiting coordinator, co-coordinator of the defense, a Brevard College alum. I heard somebody, I think it might have been Joseph Marvin, call him Mr. BC, in the hallway the other day. And I agree with that moniker. Joined by Coach Josh Romero. How are you, Coach?
Doing great. Thank you, Phil, for having me.
Yeah, outstanding to have you. Well, Coach, before we get started on some of more big picture type stuff, do want to talk about this past weekend. Got that second USA South Conference win at Greensboro. For those who didn't make the trip, tell us a little bit about how that game unfolded and ultimately the Tornadoes with the win.
Yes, sir. Before I talk about what took place this past Saturday over at Greensboro, I want to touch on before Saturday, getting prepared for Greensboro, getting prepared for our second conference game. So we all know we came off a great big team win on September 23rd versus Maryville College, which was our first conference game here at home, homecoming. We ended up getting the victory in triple overtime. Great game, great win for this football program, and super emotional game. Everybody emotion extremely high. So honestly, going into Greensboro, it's really difficult to have all these student athletes, everybody back on page. So we had to make sure everybody was rallying, and we had to do it all over again. Going to Saturday, we day trip same day. So it's difficult waking up super early in the morning and getting on a bus, driving down 3.5 hours for our second conference game. Safe travels, got there safe, getting ready for the game. First half came out flat. Halftime, we made some adjustment, coaching staff, we made some great adjustment. And then that second half, we came out there and all three phases of the game, offense, defense, special teams, they did a job, alignment, assignment, and everyone finished their assignment. And we came out on top for our second conference win in the USA South.
Yeah, well said, Coach. Great breakdown of that matchup and what it took to get prepared for that matchup. Well, you mentioned special teams. James Wood, some breaking news earlier today, named USA South Conference Special Teams Player of the Week. That's always great news when one of these awards comes across the ticker, Coach. And, I know special teams just critical to the success of this program.
Yes, sir. James Wood, man, he's a great guy, great student athlete. He comes to work every single day. Last year was his first year here at Brevard, North Carolina, enrolled at Brevard College playing for Brevard College football. He did some great things last year on defense and special teams. I mean, he's blocking punts, scoring touchdowns on special teams last year. So when I saw that award earlier on social media, I was not surprised, man. James Wood, he's the guy. He deserved that award because he comes to work every single day, 100% effort, no matter what.
Yeah, I've been racking up these special team player of the week awards this year, the Tornadoes. Well, turn the page quickly here because time for more USA South Conference action as the Tornadoes are now in preparation for this Saturday's game, a home game back at Islamel Family Field, 1:00 kickoff versus Southern Virginia. Coach, tell us about this matchup, what this week ahead looks like.
Yes, sir. Southern Virginia, conference game number 3 for us here at home on October 7th. So Southern Virginia did exactly what we did, which is have a really difficult out-of-conference schedule. So they play a couple really great football programs. And so have them get prepared and ready to go for conference play, which is exactly what we did here at Brevard, North Carolina. Going into the first conference game for Southern Virginia, they play a really great program, Methodist University, lost in overtime against Methodist. And then this past Saturday, they ended up getting the win versus LaGrange College, scoring 52 points on them. So this Southern Virginia team is, for me, in my opinion, brand new program, different team from last year, 2022. New head coach, new coaching staff, new style offense. So as coaching staff, we've been in the office all day yesterday and all day today, getting ready, getting prepared for our game plan, scouting report. That way we could be ready to go this Saturday for our third conference game versus Southern Virginia. It's going to be a challenge. I'm super excited. As a coach, man, I'm breaking down film, tagging, seeing offense we really don't see quite often with triple option and you name the rest. So we're super excited. It's going to be a challenge, and we're ready to go, and it's going to be a good show for the fans this Saturday here at Ivis Lamel Family Field.
Well, you mentioned the fans and the opportunity to come out to Ivis Lamel Family Field. That's 1:00 this Saturday. It's Youth Day, so great opportunity. Bring the Tornadoes of all ages. There's going to be all sorts of activities for them to enjoy. It's also the whiteout game, encouraging fans and the student body to wear the color white, really create that buzz, that home field feel. We've talked about it with Coach Kyatt and with student athletes and so forth, but that environment on campus, Coach, for a home football game is really something, and it makes a difference as far as how you all, the team performs on the field, correct?
Oh, correct. Yes, sir. 100%. And I'm the recruit coordinator. So every time we have a recruit, a visit, man, that's the first thing I'll tell them is I've been here. I'm going on year number 7 here at Brevard, 3 as a student athlete, 4 as a Brevard College football coach. And ever since our home games moved to on campus, because remember, we used to play over down at the Brevard High School my first couple of years here. But ever since we moved to on campus home games, man, the atmosphere, the environment, ooh, man, it's nothing like it. The drum lines, the cheerleaders, the fans, the tailgating. It's really, really a blessing for this football program to have that experience. So these home games, man, I look forward to it every single year because we only get 5 a year at home for regular season. So, man, it's come January, February, March. I'm just waiting for that first home game because it's nothing like it, man. It's a great feeling, great atmosphere, great environment. And like I said, man, it's really a blessing.
Yeah, that'll be the case this Saturday without a doubt as the Tornadoes host Southern Virginia 1:00 at Ivis Lamel Family Field. Well, you mentioned, Coach, you're the recruiting coordinator, and this year's roster is the deepest roster in Brevard College history. So congratulations to you and all your colleagues for making that happen. But would love to hear from you as far as what's it like to be the recruiting coordinator? What are the sort of things you're doing on a day-to-day basis to make sure that you're able to find the right student athletes to come here to Brevard College?
Yes, sir. As the recruiting coordinator, I got a lot of tasks. My plate is full, and I love it. Ever since Coach Kyatt gave me this opportunity to be the recruiting coordinator for the football program a couple of years ago, man, I took it and ran with it. Man, I love it. As the recruiting coordinator, my duties is to make sure, obviously, we are bringing great young men into Brevard College, great men on and off the field. Make sure my coaches are going out to high school games, going out to high schools, going to recruits, making sure game day, visitation days are organized, ready to go. So it's a lot, man. It's a lot to go on my plate during season, off season. And, man, it's a blessing to be in this position because I love it, man. I love phone calls every single day. I get maybe 50+ messages, phone calls a day just from strictly recruits, man. And I love it. When I was younger, I remember being in this position, being recruited by college coaches. And I always say, man, one day I want to be that guy to make a phone call and offer a roster spot to a student athlete. And, man, ever since I became, I got this title a couple years ago, it's a blessing. And I enjoy it every single day. We are in season right now, but every single day we're doing some type of recruiting. We're doing a call center with the coaching staff. We're calling head coaches, teachers, guidance counselors, parents, and we just ask them a lot of questions. There's 2 questions I get from my head coach. So I get a task from my head coach saying, I don't want no 40 time, how much you bench, how much you squat. I want to ask 2 questions. First one is this: if you was to have a get together at your house, will you invite this individual? So we get yes. Can you let him loose, or do you got to micromanage him? So we get yes, perfect. Now we go to question number 2. And question number 2 is: if you ask this individual to do the dishes, mow the grass, shovel snow, will we get the utmost of effort from this individual? So if you say yes, check those 2 boxes. That's the type of young man we want in this program. And then it's up to coaches, obviously, to develop these young men, make sure they have a great experience on and off the field. So yeah, man, it's a lot of work. I love it. I'm excited. I come to work every day with a big smile on my face because I love what I do and I love the position I am in right now.
Oh, when I hear that, I think of the word character, coach. And that, that's exactly what you all as coaches are doing here and bringing in these student athletes and so forth, and the right type of student athlete for Brevard College. Coach, you mentioned your experience here as a student athlete and now your experience as a coach. Mr. BC, you know this college as well as anybody. But tell, in case there might be a potential recruit or a potential, tornado watching this program, tell us about Brevard College, and then also being a Brevard College football student athlete and why this is such an exceptional opportunity for whoever comes here.
Yes, sir. Brevard College. I'm from Central Florida. You from Miami. 10 hours away. Ever since I came up here on a visit back in 2017 of the summer, I transferred here after I did 2 years at Southeastern University. And ever since I came up on my visit, I met the coaching staff. I met the community, the campus, everything the college has to offer. And ever since I stepped foot on here on a visit, I fell in love. And right when I got back home, 10 hours away, I remember telling my dad and my stepmom, first thing is, this is the college for me. This is the school for me. And I'm going to do what it takes to make sure I be enrolled at Brevard College the fall of 2017. And it's a blessing from God. Everything was right there in place. And I was here in 2017 as a student athlete of fall 2017. And the rest is history. I did 3 years as a student athlete here. I graduated with a business degree and a minor in coaching in 2020 during COVID. And this is going to be my 4th year coaching, man. Brevard College, man, it's awesome. I tell recruits, I tell families, I tell parents all the time. I love the positivity. I love the great vibes. I love the community. Everyone is happy. And my 7 years here, knock on wood, man, I love it. No bad people. And personally, that's who I like to surround myself with, which is just great overall, great human beings. And man, like I say, the rest is history. My license even say North Carolina now, and I'm growing my family up here. And like I said, man, I can't take it for granted, and I'm blessed. God put me in this position because, man, it's been a blessing.
Outstanding. Well, Coach Romero, we appreciate so much all that you do for Brevard College and Brevard College Tornadoes football. It's game week. I know you guys have got your head to the grindstone. You guys are ready to get going in preparation for Southern Virginia. But I want to keep you around for just a couple more moments here because we're going to invite into the program a couple of the Brevard College Tornado football student athletes. And welcoming into the show now, Robert Dorsey, also Brody Lindsey. Coach Romero, help us introduce these two to NATO Nation.
Let's go. Let's start with the bottom right. Brody Lindsey, offensive lineman. Man, Brody, Brody, great guy. Come to work every day. Yes, sir. No, sir type of guy. He's part of our offensive line. So he's opening up holes for our running back, blocking for our quarterback, make sure he don't get touched. And man, last couple of weeks, we've been reworking the offensive line, just make sure we got the right guys out there to help us win football games. And Brody Lindsey, he's the anchor of our offensive line. He's the only one that have not moved yet. He's been awesome, man. He does his alignment. He does his assignment. He does his job. And at the end of the day, that's all we could ask for is make sure we get his best utmost of effort. And that's what we get every single day from Brody, man. And it's a blessing to have Brody in our roster and have him part of our offensive line here at Brevard College. And then bottom left, Robert Dorsey Jr. So believe it or not, I recruited on Dorsey this past summer. I remember getting a text message from Dorsey in the summer. Hey, Coach Romero, I'm looking forward. I'm talking about Brevard College, and I remember giving him a call, and the rest is history. So now he's here en route at Brevard College, and I love me some Dorsey, man. He's the guy on the snap of the ball, first step, he's already in the backfield, almost touching the quarterback. If you have not noticed that already in our last couple of games, man, Dorsey, he's great in our D line, whole bunch of pressure, getting sacks, QB hurries, etc. And matter of fact, this past game, Saturday versus Greensboro, if I could show you Dorsey jersey, you won't believe it. It's all ripped up because all they do is they got to hold him. He's so fast, twitchy, great get off, and at the end of the day, even a great man off the field.
Outstanding. Very nicely done, Coach Romero. Really enjoyed your appearance here on Tornado Talk. Appreciate all you do for Brevard College. Thanks for introducing these two to NATO Nation. Best of luck. We'll see you Saturday at Islamel Family Field.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Phil.
You got it. All right, there goes Coach Romero. And as he helped us introduce Brody Lindsey and also Robert Dorsey. Brody, how are you?
Good. How are you, Phil?
Doing great. And Robert Dorsey making his Tornado Talk debut. How are you, Robert?
Well, I'm doing straight. I'm doing all right.
Yeah, it's great to be with you guys. Well, let's start with you, Brody. You know, started 0-3 in non-conference play against a tough slate of opponents. Won this absolute thriller on homecoming, a triple overtime, just absolute bonanza of a game. And then you have to go on the road and take care of business against Greensboro, 2-0 in the conference, with game number 3 in conference play coming up this weekend. Kind of sum up the season from your perspective, Brody, and, what you guys have been through and where you're at now and, on this upward trend.
Well, 0-3, not where everybody wants to be going into conference play, but we had a tough opponent, and it's like Coach Kite said, he wants to prepare us for, playing conference and potentially going to the playoffs. And, great win against Maryville, and then, good win against Greensboro. It's just been tough, got to battle every day and come out ready to grind every day.
And Brody, before we get to Robert, Coach Romero talked about the reconfigured offensive line, and that was the case heading into Maryville. And it seems like you guys have settled in a bit. But what's interesting is you're the one offensive lineman. All these other guys have been changing positions and changing roles and having to regroup. You've been at right tackle the whole way through. But tell us about from your perspective, getting to know your position and just playing that. That's part one of the question. But part two is, as far as the offensive line unit and you guys getting settled in with the right combination of guys.
Yeah. So, it's college football is a lot different from, high school, and it can be, crazy here and there. But I think that, we have a great group of guys that's on the line now, and, the right tackle position. I think that I've settled into it pretty good now. Last year I played right tackle, and I got a little dabble into some right guard as well. So I think that I'm comfortable there. I know what I'm doing, and I think it's the right fit. And also I think that, we have Todd Norman and Josh Blackstock, Roderick Rucker, and then Bernard Warts coming in. Those guys are also great too. I think that we just we put them in the right place.
Yeah, great stuff. Great adjustment by the coaching staff to kind of figure out, who belongs where and all that kind of thing. And great work by you, Brody, to continue to hold it down over there at the right tackle spot. Well, also joined by Robert Dorsey, a sophomore defensive end from Greenville, South Carolina. Robert, same opening question for you as far as like how the season's been going for you personally, and then also the team getting some momentum going now in the USA South Conference.
Well, like Brody said, it didn't go as we planned, but at least we're picking it back up. We're doing what we can to have the pieces build and create a new, team out of what we have. And every day, even when we do lose, we get better. We do everything we can to get better. We always pick each other up. Going against Brody in practice, me and him always compliment each other. We always do what we can to make each other better every day. All the O linemen, even all the D linemen too. We always try to strive to do better and to get better every day.
All right, I got to follow up on that, Robert, because let me just clarify things. You guys work head to head against each other in practice. You're on the same side. You're trying to beat Brody to the quarterback and he's trying to pass protect for the quarterback, trying to hold you off.
Yeah, we go back and forth. We compliment each other every day. Either I lose or he loses. We do what we can.
Well, let's take that just one step further. Robert, tell our audience about Brody as a tackle. Because you face these other tackles, on these other opponents and stuff. But what makes Brody Lindsey such an effective offensive tackle?
The thing that Brody Lindsey does is that he assesses the different type of defensive alignment he goes against. Like the different ends he goes against, he'll know if he's going against a fast or a slow one, how he has to pass set back or how he has to get off the ball. It all depends on who he's going against. And he's good with his hands too. He's good at getting his hands inside your chest and steering you and making sure that you don't get nowhere near the quarterback.
And Brody, same opportunity for you. Tell us about Robert Dorsey as a pass rusher.
Man, Dorsey's fast. He's really fast. He's got a really good get off, and he's good with his hands too. But man, he's fast, really fast.
Well, and bottom line, what I'm hearing is when you guys play against each other, I mean, it's got to prepare you.
Yeah.
Crazy for the opponent, because if you're going up, if Robert's going up a guy like Brody, and Brody's going up against a guy like Robert, once you show up on Saturday, you're prepared, you're ready to beat your opponent.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, great stuff there. Well, Robert, tell us a little bit more about the defensive unit, because in these last couple of weeks, you all, the one thing that I noticed the most about the Brevard College defense is, there's these clutch situations in every game where it's just like, all right, need a stop. And it seems more often than not in the clutch situations, you guys get it done. Can you talk about that part of it, as far as sort of situational defense and when you guys know that, hey, perhaps even the game's on the line with this stop?
Well, I can talk a little bit about it. I mean, like, Coach Bayless tells us, we just got to play hard football. We got to come out there and play to our, potential. We got to do what we can to try to help our offense to win the game. And it's always, the D-line or the cornerbacks, the linebackers. Like I said, we always do what we can to help win the game. And, the whole D-line itself, we always, when we feel down, it's always one of us or two of us. They always try to bring us back together to, because we be getting complacent and we be thinking too much.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Brody, tell us a little bit about yourself for the audience. Sophomore, not far away, Hendersonville, North Carolina, just up the road. But tell us about your football upbringing and then eventually coming here to Brevard.
Yes, sir. So, yes, I am from Hendersonville, not too far. I've always, came up here and just enjoyed the mountains and stuff up in Brevard. And, my mom used to work out here in Brevard, so I've been around Brevard for a while. And, interesting enough, I only started playing football when I was in high school. I was a big baseball guy growing up from 5 all the way till I graduated high school. So I've just been playing football through high school. And, it was just chose to come here because, it was close to home. And I enjoyed the coaches here, enjoyed the community, and love to be close to home. So choose Brevard.
Very cool. And Robert Dorsey, sophomore defensive end out of Greenville, South Carolina, down across the state line, but not too far, striking distance to Brevard College as well. But tell us about your football upbringing, Robert, and eventually finding your way to Brevard College.
Well, it's been a rocky road. It's been a very rocky road, but, I stuck to my guts, I stuck to it. I've been playing football all my life. I played a lot of sports growing up, but football is the one that stuck out. I lived in Charlotte for more than 16 years before leaving and going to Greenville. And, everything, I guess, that's led to where I'm at now is just all part of God's plan, really.
Outstanding. Well, we're thrilled to have both of you all as part of this Brevard College Tornado athletic family and part of this football program. Before we move on to kind of off the field subjects, question for both of you guys. What's the key to this week head into this matchup against Southern Virginia and improving to 3-0 in conference play. Brody?
Yeah, we just don't need to get complacent. Last year we played Southern Virginia. We beat them at Southern Virginia. It's just we just need to focus of winning each day, getting prepared, and coming out there ready to roll on Saturday. Because we don't need to look at records or nothing like that. We just need to play, as Coach Kyatt says, Brevard college football. Go out there and we'll win the game.
Well said. Robert?
Well, like you said from Coach Kyatt tells us every week since we're in conference play, 0-0. We need to come out every day. We need to try to get better every day because this opponent, we can't think down about them. We can't think we can just stomp all over them. They're another opponent that we have to beat. They may think that they can come and beat us too. So we just need to come out and do what we can. We need to come out and hit them where it hurts.
Yeah, well said. And folks, make sure you come out, this weekend to check out this team on Saturday, 1 p.m. versus Southern Virginia Islamel Family Field. Outstanding product, Brevard College football, great atmosphere out there at Islamel Family Field. Brody, tell us what you're up to in the classroom. What are you working on academically?
So academically, I'm going to probably be a business major, maybe a minor in, some criminal justice maybe, or who knows, maybe I might do something with sports one day. But business is where I'm heading, and hopefully I'll have I want to start my own business. Don't really know what that's going to be yet, but that's what I want to do. So,
well, you mentioned sports. I do want to shout you out, Brody, because you're helping the press box staff up there during the JV game, the last couple JV football contests. Great job up there in the press box. So if you want to go that path, you just let us know. Robert, tell us what you're up to in the classroom.
So I'm studying to be an education major, minor in comp science. I wanted to teach little kids about, educate them on computer science. We need it. They don't know what's going on in that type of world. We got the basic stuff, but as we're progressing through this 2023, 2024, as we're getting up there, technology is the big thing now, and I think that computer science is what we need to start teaching them at an early age.
Outstanding stuff, Robert Dorsey and Brody Lindsey. Well, before we let you go, do want to give you each the opportunity for shout outs, thank yous, anybody you just want to give a little hat tip to. The floor is yours, Brody Lindsey. Shout outs.
Yeah, I'd like to thank God for, putting me in the right position here and letting me play the sport I love. I'd also want to thank my mom, my dad, my whole family for always, trusting in me and, whether that's taking me to practice and taking me to football camps and recruiting visits and all that stuff growing up. And then, I want to give out a shout out to some head coaches from my previous high school. Justin Heatherly was the East Henderson head coach when I was there. And John Lively, he was my defensive line coach one year and my offensive line coach the next. And he's my trainer. I love him to death. He's just been helping me, keep pushing me, and letting me, work in the off season.
Well said, Robert.
I want to thank everybody. I want to thank all the people that's deceased over the years that didn't get to see me play. I want to thank God. I want to thank my parents for always pushing me to get me better. I want to thank all my teammates, even my previous teammates I have. They always kept pushing me. They always did everything they can in practice to help me get better, help me do everything. I want to thank my coaches. I want to thank the D-line. I want to T-Will, Obi, Lank, Dottie, Moses, Ernest, D. Who else? I want to thank all of them. Even, they do everything they can. If I mess up, they come and help me. If they mess up, I come. We do everything we can.
Outstanding stuff. Brody, Lindsey, and Robert Dorsey. You know, Coach Romero talked about character in his segment, and these two exemplify exactly that. Brevard College Tornado student athletes. Fellas, thanks for joining the program. Have a great week as we prepare for Southern Virginia. We'll see you out there at Isla Lamel Family Field on Saturday. Thanks for joining the show.
Thanks for having
Thank
us,
you.
Phil.
All right, there they go. And thank you, NATO Nation, for tuning in for another edition of Tornado Talk. All sorts of action this week. There's volleyball during the week. There's the football game on Saturday at home, and then there's a home men's soccer game on Sunday as well. So all sorts of opportunities. Go to bctornadoes.com or follow the Tornadoes on social media. And don't miss any of the action for Brevard College Tornado Athletics. Want to thank our producer, Joseph Marvin, also Cassidy Hutto and Emily Denega for some production support behind the scenes as well. And thank you, NATO Nation, for all your support of Brevard College Tornado Athletics. Until next time, go Tornadoes.